Children getting ready to start a new routine as summer comes to an end. And with that can come some issues, including separation anxiety, especially when you're talking about younger children. So let's talk about how to better prepare for a smooth back-to-school transition. We have Stanford Children psychologist, Dr. Shea Fedigan. Dr. Fedigan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me this morning.
So a smooth back-to-school routine, is there any such thing? I mean, I feel like it is one of those points in time that you just kind of got to prepare that it's going to take a minute to get back into this space. We know it, but every year the kids get into a different grade, parents have different stressors, and the routines are all messed up from the summer.
I couldn't agree more, and this is so timely because as the kids are getting back to school, parents here at Stanford Children's are asking all about this. So across all age groups, just as you said, we recommend starting to prepare early with excitement and warmth and thinking about just like a caregiver who's returning back to work after maybe a long vacation, something they've liked, unstructured, something that they like a little less. The transition takes time. And the more prepared you are mentally, physically, logistically, the better prepared you are to navigate those natural bumps that we expect that don't mean anything bad.
So do we not give ourselves enough time for it? I mean, if you talk about all the, kind of domino effect from this that can add to the stress of our children, right? We think, okay, we're going to get them the backpack, we're going to get them to school, we're going to try to get them to bed on time. But our stressors, our commute to work is longer, we have to leave earlier, everything is different. We have to get back into routine. Parents sometimes do, of the ones who are still making lunches and doing all those things. Do we give it the credit it deserves for in terms of the mental and logistical preparation?
I think, it really depends on the age. Older children who maybe are more eager to go back to school or just kind of know the drill, that's okay. Maybe you're focusing more on the sleep schedule and getting some food in and screen time. But for younger children who are going to school for the first time, a new school, or maybe more reticent, expect a longer preparation time to really allow their brain to take in all the new information. It takes repetition for those kids.
So how much is it like a week before school versus like the transition is once first day of school and we're now into the second week of school? Like where do we start and where are we hoping to have some ease?
I would recommend really starting several weeks before. For younger kids, I would start, I know we're already past that, but like
too late.
Midsummer would be ideal with like reading books about school. But if you haven't started, that's okay too. Just start now. And so I think for sleep schedule, starting more than a week in advance or at least a week in advance, setting what's their new wake up time so the body can adjust, the brain can adjust, really helpful. Doing that back to school shopping a week or two, several weeks in advance, it just helps prime from talking about school to actually taking preparation steps. And then even in the week or two parents and caregivers may have now, drive by the new school, talk about who's going to do drop off, who's going to do pickup, practice the walking routine, practice, going to the playground, seeing the school, all of that. While time is really helpful, it's more about how much they're getting that exposed to it, making sure they're having multiple opportunities to either talk about it with mom and dad and caregivers, go to the location to think about it, because kids and adults alike need repetition for really to sink in for their brain and their body in these big transitions.
Yeah, those are big on the sleep routines, making sure that we're doing it at the right time, even the week before or a couple weeks, summer. I think those younger kids too really benefit from the routine, but I think the older kids do as well. And I think, is there something to help parents too with, let's say they're starting high school. That's overwhelming to start high school, but then sports start and then this starts, that getting used to that even when you get them back into that routine, there are going to be a lot of things up ahead. How do you best prepare them and yourself for getting in that space?
I think talking about it in advance of just that, this is a big time of transitions. And ultimately, these transitions are fantastic for their long-term growth. Maybe that's not the big first thing you share with them. But knowing as a parent that if there are bumps with all these transitions, if they just got used to going to school and now all of a sudden the schedule changes again, or we don't know X, Y, or Z, kind of holding in your mind as the caregiver, that's okay. These are important learning moments of how to navigate that life is unpredictable. We
Yeah.
can only expect so much.
Do we
And so
overdo
helping
it?
them know that.
Do we overdo it?
I think, wanting to let them, know what to expect, but also letting them kind of sail their own ship a little bit. We want caregivers to be that lighthouse where they're guiding the child without jumping in and sailing it. So finding that sweet spot of telling them the expectations, but then also being like, this is a transition. This can be hard, and I know you can do this. I know you can navigate it. And holding that confidence really models it for the child and helps them build their own internal voice, those teens, that like, okay, mom and dad and caregiver are confident I can do this. It's hard, but I can handle it.
Yeah, what I love from that is I take away all your positivity and making that we frame this in that this is great. It doesn't mean great always is smooth, but this is great, and I think that will certainly help as we all navigate this together. We have to leave it there, Dr. Fedigan, but I appreciate you joining us this morning on Mornings on 2 and giving us some just good advice. It feels like we should be all starting a couple of weeks ago, but we'll start as soon as we can.
Exactly. There's nothing's too late to start with. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Thank you. All right. Time now is 9:20. Rosemary, I know this back to school, it always sneaks up on people in the summer. Like you feel like, okay, I've just now gotten used to not having to be somewhere. And then we're like, oh, wait, here it is again.
Yes.